I don't think there's any question about the UK's continuing support for Ukraine. Liz Truss has been very vocal on that score. But it will become a more difficult subject as time goes on, especially working to ensure that as NATO allies, we foster the resilience among ourselves to the challenge that Russia poses to Europe's security architecture. For households, it's difficult to imagine paying the energy bills that will be coming as winter hits both in Europe and in the UK. And Liz Truss has promised to address this, not only by looking at ways in which she might mitigate the cost for households, but also in terms of how she might look at additional energy resources. Britain, like all countries, will have to balance the climate change promises that it has made, even most recently at the COP meeting in Glasgow, but also with their search for ways to become more energy secure absent Russian sources. And that might mean taking on questions that are difficult, like, do you look at additional North Sea drilling, for example? What can you do in terms of other energy supplies? She will need to tackle the issue of relations between the UK and the EU. Brexit is done, but its consequences live on. The EU is an important market for the UK, and some of those trade difficulties still remain to be ironed out or worked out in practice, even though they might be theoretically resolved on paper. One of the biggest of those is relations between the UK and the EU over trade with Northern Ireland. She is taking on the role of Prime Minister in some very tough times. She knows the challenges that lie ahead. The biggest will be finding the resources to tackle them. And that's why we will also be watching who she appoints to her cabinet. And that will be happening in the next couple of days, because it's important for her to have someone as her Chancellor of the Exchequer who will be able to help her resource these demands, to resource the solutions that she sees to these challenges. And ultimately, resources will be the biggest challenge of all.